What the fuck is up, people? Welcome to Bread and Circuses. How's it going, Nick?
It's going good, guys. You might notice that we are, I guess, for our YouTube listeners, this one's only audio only. We're having some issues with our camera, but it's
It's
all
not
right.
issues with our camera. I'm just being a lazy fuck and don't have time to upload it at the moment. So
Yeah, that
do a
too.
full-on video edit. That's all me. It's all good though. We're here. We're alive. It's been an interesting week to say the least.
I'll say to our regular listeners, it is fully my fault that we didn't get a video out earlier. Once again, I hate to lean on the excuse all the time, but I stay at home dad, so it is pretty
Hey.
hard to if you've gone through it before, you probably understand. But yeah, it's on me. So if you guys want to throw us hate mail, you gotta make sure it's sent to Nick here, not to Caleb.
So. Not to me. I mean, I do have my dog, so if that counts. We had quite the scare with her.
Yeah, man, you were telling me about it on text, but you gotta tell me like what happened specifically with her.
So it was fucking nuts, man. So like the week, it's like a week ago, right? Yeah, it would have been no, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It started like Monday or Tuesday. She was being a little weird, but not too weird. Like she didn't eat all of her food.
That's completely understandable because Megan's kind of a weird dog anyway.
She's a weird dog. But I mean
not like crazy weird, but she's like very peculiar.
She's a strange one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she wouldn't eat her food. Well, she ate her food, most of it, not all of it, but I mean that's nothing out of the ordinary. She's not a big dog food fan and never has been. So like every now
she's
and
a
then,
human food fan.
she'll because I'll give her like canned chicken from Walmart with her food. So every now and then she'll eat just the chicken, and I don't think nothing of it. But so and I started to notice that she wasn't looking too comfortable on her hind legs when she walked. Well, she's a lab. Labs have problems, especially because she's old. Labs tend to have hip issues when they get old. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, she's definitely in like the region too of where undoubtedly old. Like when your dog's over 10.
Oh yeah.
That's when you're like your dog's old.
Oh yeah. So we put so I mean I started giving her CBD treats. I'm like, it won't take effect right away, but bad hips. I've heard this will help. So I started giving her that from American Shaman here in Omaha. And then it got like she was just acting weird. She wasn't her normal self. Like she was energetic, but not as energetic. She still ate, but not as much. And she was super fucking thirsty. That was the weird thing.
Oh yeah, that's kind of weird.
Excessive thirst. Like, I mean, she's done this in the past. I've done this in the past. You wake up at 3:00 in the morning and down a whole bottle of water. Nobody knows why it happens, but it happened like 4 nights in a row. And I was like, okay, something's a little weird here. Because she kept having to pee and she'd have accidents in the house, and that's not normal for her. So I'm like, okay, something's weird here. We had already had an appointment the next week to take her to the vet. I was just going to ask him about it then. And then Saturday night rolled around, and she kept licking her ass. She wouldn't stop, and she had diarrhea. Not in the house, not like can't control my bowels, but like runny
her
shits.
stool was just always really wet.
No blood, nothing like that. Still eating, not throwing up. And I've always thought that if a dog is eating, not throwing up, and not having seizures, they're fine. That's what I've always thought. Unless there's like blood in their stool, because humans get diarrhea for no reason. It happens.
It's like if any one of those things was just happening on its own, it wouldn't be that crazy.
Well,
but
seizures would be, but yeah.
Well, yeah, would know like the everything that was happening.
Diarrhea and stuff. Yeah, to Megan.
Yeah, or to Megan.
My mom's dog is Mia.
Yeah, I get the two confused because they're both black labs, but
yeah.
But no, to Megan, excuse me, and it's Megan Meagan.
Yeah, exactly. I mean Meagan. Spell it right.
A-N. Yeah. I always remember the EA on it, where I'm like, yeah, it's like that.
Megan. Yeah, like Reagan. Yeah.
But yeah, any of those things that were happening to Megan just as like on their own would be like not too crazy, but the fact that all of those things are happening all at the same time is like a little nuts.
Exactly. So Saturday night she wouldn't stop licking her ass and she had the runny shits, and I was like, okay, she's got a fucking worm, right? Because that's like the telltale signs of a heart, like a heartworm or a parasite or a bacteria.
Was she doing that thing that dogs do where they wipe their ass on the grass?
Nope, she didn't do that.
Okay.
So she but yeah, she kept licking her ass. And then and it just wouldn't stop, like all night. So Sunday morning, I told my girlfriend, I'm like, we got to take her to the vet. Like, let's take her to the emergency place. Like, it's, I don't want to wait any longer, because she was laying there in bed and she was shaking, like
Oh, yeah,
tremoring.
that's not good.
So I knew something was wrong when she was doing. I'm like, we can't wait any longer. So we took her to the vet, and it's the fucking COVID, so you can't go in with your pet.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, yeah.
they've
That's
already,
how it was when I took Felix in to the vet.
which they've already proven that while pets really can't get COVID, they can still carry it on their fur. So like if I have it, you're going to get it from her. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like so that doesn't make any sense. But we took her to the vet, and I'm expecting them to be like, yeah, she had a worm. Or the only other thing I could think of was we had a really bad problem with wasps at our apartment, and they kept
maybe she got
spraying.
stung. Yeah.
And no, I was thinking maybe she got into some of the spray.
Oh, okay.
So those were the two things I was thinking, and boy, was I fucking wrong. Because they call us and they're like, we want to run X-rays and blood tests. It's $500. I'm like, yeah, just do it. Like, you go to the vet with a problem, you're gonna spend $500. That's just how it's gonna be.
Especially at the ER one.
Yeah, especially at the emergency run. So we ran that. They called back and they said she had pyometra.
I don't even know. Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
Pyometra is basically the dog equivalent of if your appendix were to rupture, or of appendicitis. So except it's with her what's the female part called? I am totally drawing a blank.
The uterus.
Uterus.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's embarrassing. But
because Megan was never fixed, right?
She was never fixed. My parents never believed in fixing dogs, and I'd had her since I was a kid. So, and by the time I had moved out on my own, she was old, and you're not supposed to subject an old dog to surgery unless you absolutely have to, right? So, they said it's pyometra, and it's like appendicitis. Like if you're, you get the infection and your appendix starts to inflate and then it blows up. Same thing, but with a uterus for a dog. Mm-hmm. So
did they say it's something that like usually only affects dogs, or
unkept dogs? Unkept dog. Yeah, humans don't get it.
Okay.
It's not a human thing. Yeah. Ladies out there, don't worry. I mean, there might be other uteral infections, but it's not that. So they told us there was a surgery, and it was the only way to fix it. Like, because technically some dogs can be treated with antibiotics, but it's always runs the risk of it coming back the next year, because it comes right after their heat cycle, which they get once a year. Mm-hmm. So technically, well, not technically, they can and will get it back. And I guess with unkept dogs, unless something else kills them first, if they live long enough, it's not a matter of if, but when they get it. Mm-hmm. Which is something to consider if you get a female dog.
Is it almost like the dog going through menopause, or?
No. So it's it's like an infection.
It's just an infection.
Life-threatening.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I'm like, okay, well, how much is it going to cost? And they're like $2,400. And at that point, like, I mean,
it's a lot
I
of
was in fucking tears, and I couldn't even talk. So like my girlfriend had to talk for me on the phone, and she could barely talk. Yeah. And I mean, the vet's like, well, the other option is euthanasia. And I did not like hearing that word. And so I said, let me call you back. And they said, okay, we'll give you 10 minutes. I'm like, first off, you're not giving me a fucking time frame. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like 10 minutes to make a decision like that is bullshit, and you know it. So
yeah, they're just wanting to not like have to worry about keeping you on the phone. Yeah.
So I called my mom and tried to call my dad, but I got a hold of him later. But so I mean, we're like, we just dropped $500 on just the test. Like, you're talking almost $3,000 for a surgery that's not a slam dunk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like, because I mean, my thing was like, here's my logic. If they ran an X-ray and they're like, yeah, she had a chicken bone, we just need to go in and take it out, I would have paid it in a fucking heartbeat. You know, right?
Because that's not something that's
because it's like, okay, go in, take it out, barring no medical malpractice, she's going to be fine, right?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, this is like the numbers on the surgery for it to go well. There's two types of it. There's an open pyometra, which the number is about 75 to 90% success rate. And
that's like it's actually burst, right?
I'm not sure. I think so. I wasn't listening when they were describing it. And then closed, it's only 40%. But the issue is they don't know which one it is until they get in and start working on it. So, I mean, you're looking best case scenario, what, about 65% success rate,
Yeah.
all things considered,
For almost, for over $2,000. Yeah,
for
that's
almost
pretty.
three
Yeah.
grand. So I mean, it was like, I mean, I was like, okay. I called him back. I'm like, can you just give me my dog? And they're like, well, we have. They were strongly implying that there were two options, that I could pay the $3,000 or they would put her down. And I told them very upsetly to give me my fucking dog. And my next step was going to say, you're going to give me my dog, or I'm going to come in there and we're all going to be on the news. So like,
Oh my God.
what do you want to do here? Like,
Yeah.
just give me my fucking dog. So. And they brought her back, and I mean, by that night, we had to go get dog diapers because she had like vaginal discharge that just wouldn't stop, and it was staining the carpet, and like we had to like, she was in it, the diaper. It was so bad the fucking diaper would fill up in about 15 seconds after you put it on.
Damn, man, that's
So
fucking
like
terrible.
fucking bad. So I mean, I was convinced we were gonna put her down like the next day. You know, that was. I mean, it was done, right? Because I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, because we were gonna call her vet the next day. That's why we took her back.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're gonna be a couple $100 cheaper, you know? But I trusted her vet because they're not just gonna try to sell me something, because I've taken dogs to them in the past.
And that's what those those dog or animal ERs, man, they just freaking gouge you.
Oh, they're terrible.
Yeah.
I learned that. So I mean, we're taking her out. I gave her a cheeseburger for dinner and stuff like that, and it was I mean, I slept on the floor with her that night because she couldn't sleep in the bed, just because she was oozing so much, like it was oozing out of her diaper, like it was so bad. I mean, it was disgusting. And she was in such bad pain, I had to lay there with her and hold her because she was shaking so bad. And I mean, I was like, but the thing, by that night, I was thinking about it because I honestly was probably going to pay for the surgery, because I've had dogs put down before, unless they told me that it's a waste of time, which this vet will do because they're trustworthy. But I've had dogs put down before. And you can tell when a dog wants to die, right? Like they're lounging around. Despite
we had something where we had a chocolate lab back when probably like 5 years ago at this point, I think.
Yeah.
This dog was a fucking like twice the dog of Megan, in the fact that like it was a fucking big chunk.
Oh yeah,
of a dog,
she's small. Yeah.
This dog was fucking fat, dude. Like this dog was seriously like, he bumped into you and he would almost knock you over. I think he was like almost like 100 pounds, and for like a lab, that's pretty amazing.
Right.
Like he was some ridiculous weight, and I've got pictures of him. But
sure,
this dog became sick. He was like an outside dog, and he nobody knows what actually happened to him, but he was doing the whole laying down all the time, stopped eating, all that kind of stuff.
They just get old, their body shuts down.
Exactly. I mean, this dog was like 13, 12 years old, which for an outside dog, that's pretty good time. But when my parents finally decided, like, oh, Jake's not doing good. That was the name of the dog, Jake.
Yeah.
Jake's not doing so good. We're going to go, we finally decide we're just going to go take him in and go get put down. That day that they were going to go do that morning, he walks outside and just lays down under a tree and just passes on.
Seriously?
Yeah. It was like, my mom swore it was because like he needed permission, like from them to finally go. So like that was, that's sad when a dog dies like that, but I mean, like, it's kind of cool that the dog would have like, you just waited for your owners to be ready.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a fucking high risk, high reward trade, because like they give you everything they have, but then they fucking take a piece of you with them. You know what I mean?
They do. And I think we had talked about that before too. When you get an animal, it's like, you're going to get about 15 years.
Yeah.
Maybe
you're going to outlive it.
Exactly. Right. It doesn't make it feel any better when it happens.
No, not at all. You don't think about it when it happens. You're thinking that's like, you're not even thinking ahead to next week, Yeah. But so, I mean, it was like, but like I'd had dogs put down before, and you could, like you were saying, like you can tell when they want to die, like they want to go. Like they're like people, like they'll
They know when they're ready. They know when it's their time. Like,
Right. Well, she wasn't like that, which is why I was considering dropping $3,000 if I had to for the surgery, because she was still trying to pick up her bone, and she was a lot slower, but she was still trying to get me to chase her around. And
oh, poor dog.
we went for a walk, and she was still pulling on the leash, and like you could tell she wasn't ready. It was almost like she was saying, hey, don't fucking put me down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I went to sleep that night and like not knowing what to do. And Tim Locklear actually texted me. Super great guy, by the way, if anyone.
Yeah.
So he was like, because I was telling him about it, and he's like, okay, well, he's like, are you going to work tomorrow? I'm like, fuck no, I can't go to work like this tomorrow, bro. So he texted me. He's like, okay, so here's what you're going to do. He's like, you're going to come over to my house at 6:00 in the morning. We're going to go for a run. We're going to smoke a bowl, and we're going to sit down and decide what you need to do. Like, you were going to talk through like what you want to do and see what the right choice is. And I was like super appreciative, because that's a fucking awesome thing for anyone to do.
That's a friend, yeah.
True friend, you know what I mean? But I mean, that morning I woke up at like 5:30, and the only way she could stay comfortable was to lay under me. So like I texted him, I'm like, look, bro, I really appreciate it, but like if these are her last couple hours, like I owe it to her to stay here. You know what I mean? So I didn't go. And then the vet called me. Well, like because she was wearing a diaper, and like I had taken a picture of her in the diaper, not like to be cruel or anything like that.
To take for like to show the vets, yeah.
Well, no, I took it. I heard Kevin Smith say something about this on Joe Rogan, as funny as it sounds, but no, I took the picture because like because she looked miserable in that picture, and I wanted, like, if I did put her down, I wanted to have something, so like if I woke up in like the middle of the night, like you just killed your fucking best friend, like I could look at that and remember why I did it.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually.
Yeah, no, so the vet called us the next morning, and like first thing in the morning, and they're like, hey, we're going to do the surgery for $600. So I'm like,
significantly better.
Yeah. In a heartbeat. I'm like, okay, yeah, let's go. I was still cautiously optimistic because there's a lot of potential for it to go wrong. But fuck, let me hang on. Oh shit. Sorry. That's a tough story for me to tell.
Well, I said that dog is like what, almost 13 now, right? Megan
she's 11.
She's 11.
Yeah, so she's still got some years left. You know what I mean?
And that's a long time for a dog, man. Like, right, I mean, that's longer than a lot of friends.
Exactly. And when you consider I'm 24, that's all of my formative years that she was there. Like literally all, like 98% of the highs and lows of my life, she was there for. So it's different than, you know, somebody's, and I'm not saying this, but like, you know, somebody that didn't want their dog like a friend and I just inherited it. It's not like that. Like it's
definitely, I would say that like if I were to get a dog right now, right, and because I've had a lot of dogs in my life, but I will easily be able to say that the one that I hold closest to myself is the one that I had with like the childhood dog that got me through, you know, growing up and going to high school and all that stuff.
Definitely high school and relationships and breakups and all that shit. Like 100%. They were there for all of it, you know, family deaths, you know, because once you're in your teens, that's when family that you were close to starts kind of getting picked off. You know what I mean? But I mean, she's there for all of it. So, I
mean, you know how dogs are too. Like they know when you're sad. Like even my cats are like that too. Like they'll try to comfort you because they know.
Yeah, no, exactly. So we took her in, and the vet was like, I'm going to be straight with you. He goes, I looked at her x-rays. The vet's actually Zach Bravietti's uncle. He's a comedian. Oh, really? Here. Yeah, fucking small world, right?
Yeah.
So I knew we were safe because we had a Jewish doctor. But
of course, Zach Bravietti's got a veterinarian.
Yeah,
uncle.
I know, right?
His dad's probably a lawyer, and you know, the other brother's like a medical doctor.
Yeah, an accountant for the third one. Yeah, for the sister.
Oh my gosh!
But no, funny. So we he's like, I'll be real with. He's like, well, he didn't say that, but he's like, I looked at her X-ray and every fucking. He didn't say the word fuck either, but he's like, I looked at her X-ray and I have never seen a dog in this good of spirits with as bad as hers is. He's like, every other dog that I've ever seen that's got a uterus that's inflamed to this point, is on its deathbed. It's having seizures. It's vomiting. It won't eat. She was still eating that morning. She wasn't vomiting, and she was trying to sort of fight with another dog in the parking lot.
I think that's a testament to Megan, man. Like,
she's tough.
You guys just heard. We said that Megan is going on 12 years old, right?
Yeah. 11 years old. Sorry. She's going on 11.
She'll
be 11 in November. 11. Yeah.
Okay, so she's 11 or going on 11 years old, like that 10-year-old dog. The dog looks like she's fucking 3.
Yeah,
guys.
I know.
Like, you see this dog and you think she's like just got out of being a puppy, and she acts like it too.
Yeah.
She's got a little bit of gray on her, so like, maybe you think maybe she like lived through some shit or something as a puppy, but no, this dog is a decade old.
Well, she's lived through some shit, because this is her 3rd life-threatening illness that she's beaten, because she had her
thyroid, yeah,
and that thyroid issue caused a liver infection.
Yeah,
that she beat, and then there was this. So I mean, it was like, when they called me saying they'll do it for $600, I felt like a kid on fucking Christmas going to wake my girl up. Felt like I was waking my parents up, like, Santa's here, Santa, you know what I mean? But I was fucking tears of joy, like I could barely talk. And the surgery usually takes like an hour, because she was so old. It took like 4. But no, they called me and they're like,
so did they just basically spade her?
They spayed her, but there's like an extra step to the procedure, because it's like of what it is. So they went and they called me. They're like, yeah, she's doing well. So now she's spayed. So she's going to save me $60 a year registering her. If she lives for another 12 years, the surgery paid for itself. So,
do you think after all of this, like if you were to ever get another dog, like a fucking,
I would spay her in a heartbeat.
10 years from now. Okay, yeah, I was gonna say go.
I won't fix a boy, because I think that's cruel, but I was a kid, so I didn't have a say in the matter. But knowing what I know now, is what we went through, I can avoid that for about $80 if I spay the dog. So
yeah,
in a heartbeat, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Now it sucks now, because she's completely back to her normal self, which is great, but not when I'm trying to keep her stitches in.
Yeah, dude, I can only imagine, like, if it's the Megan that I know, like, yeah, trying to get her to not move around with stitches, and it'd be a fucking nightmare.
She's in a crate, and she's medicated. She's actually laying on the floor right now.
That's good.
I let her come out tonight, but yeah, it's rough. So guys, lesson from this story: never clip your boy dog, but spay your females. Like, it's worth it. I'm not just talking about the money. It was a 10th of what I would have wound up paying, but forget that. Like, the fucking emotional shit of going through that and knowing in the back of your head that this didn't have to happen, not worth it.
Sometimes though, man, like, just sometimes things work out like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
no, for sure.
Things like that are kind of like the reason why, not to get all like sappy or really introspective or anything, but like, if anybody were to ever ask me if I was religious, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, I'm a super hardcore fucking Christian or anything like that. But I mean, like, stuff like this is like, is the kind of things that make me think like, yeah, maybe there is something out there that like really, really helps you in what matters. You know what I mean?
Well, that was the thing, is it's like, and people have their religion and that's cool, but I made sure after it was all said and done to thank the doctor, because like, doctors and again, I'm not trying to shit on anyone's beliefs or anything, but not just like with animals, especially with people. Like, people get out of a surgery, this miraculous surgery where the surgeon fucking was on point, probably on a lot of cocaine, but hey, that helped him focus, right? So was on point and pulled it off, this miracle surgery. And the first thing they do is they thank whoever their God is, and it's like, that's fine, that's your thing, but like, those people, and yes, they make a lot of money, but they don't get thanked for that. You know what I mean? That's why I feel like people are quick to thank their religion, but not the person that pulled it off. And that's really the only thing, if you think about it. Because if your fucking TV breaks, you don't thank God, you thank the TV mechanic for coming over to fix it.
I think when it comes to something like a veterinarian, you know what I mean, or like a doctor, anything that works, any kind of person that works in the medical field, I think kind of like your actions kind of think enough. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure, like, if I was a doctor, a surgeon,
I'm sure,
and I saved somebody, just being able to see like somebody, like that joy in somebody's face,
and their family,
they know you just saved that person's life
Definitely.
You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
would make it worth it for me. I wouldn't even need to be thanked. I'd be
Definitely.
like, that's enough for me.
But so, and maybe it's more specific to veterinarians because I feel like those people have a hard job in the sense that they're constantly in the room where they're putting that dog down.
Yeah, they probably. I'd say maybe with a veterinarian, probably more than a medical doctor, you probably have more bad days than good with that.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you're like a family veterinarian, like where you
Yeah.
just work on pets and you're not
'Cause, I
out there
mean-
like trending to fucking cattle or something. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And people don't have a choice but to try and save themselves. You know, there's dogs. It's like there's people that can't afford to drop $1,000 on surgery and they have to kill it. You know what I mean? So it's like
there's a lot of people that are like that, actually.
yeah, you can't euthanize a human, unfortunately.
That's definitely
Sometimes I feel
something
like
that I think rich and poor people definitely like. I mean, even just completely around the world, right?
Mhm.
Everybody's got fucking pets, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I mean, I knew a guy that was filthy rich, and his dog had cancer. It was a 14-year-old lab had cancer, and he dropped like $5,000 to send this dog to Kansas City to have some like, you know, experimental surgery, or not experimental, but top of the line, surgery done. And it's like, that's my thing is it's like, I would, it was kind of a wake up call, like that I need to work harder at comedy, I guess, because I don't ever want to be in a position where $2,200 is going to kill my fucking dog. You know what I mean?
yeah, that is a good thing to work for.
Exactly.
Like everybody wants to say, you know, like having the Medicare for everything, like
right.
not try to get too political about it or anything, but it's like that's the reason I want to make a lot of money, man, is because like if fucking something happened to like my daughter or something like that, I want to be able to pay her fucking medical bills.
Yeah, you don't want to go into crippling debt, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's honestly, that's why I was going to do the surgery, even if it was going to cost me $2,000, was because I was talking to Sean, who's been on our show a couple of times. I was talking to him about it, and he's like, because he's got dogs. He's like, you know my advice, man? He's like, if she's still like acting like she wants to live, like you were telling me, he goes, I would do it, because what's the number one reason people don't spend a bunch of money on a surgery for their dog? Because they have kids. Because if something happens to one of their kids, they got to be able to pay for it. You don't fucking have kids. You're not planning on having kids anytime soon, at least.
You don't have a crazy like mortgage or anything.
Yeah, you don't have like a mortgage and, you know, crippling student loan debt or anything like that.
Exactly.
He's like, if I were you, I would do it. He's
if
like,
you have the money, spend it. Yeah, I would agree with that.
And like my thing was like, and I actually filed a Better Business Bureau complaint against that urgent pet care center. Number one, for implying that they were going to kill my basically
either
hold my
you
dog
had
for
only two
ransom.
options.
Yeah. I'm like, no. Option 3 is you're going to give her back to me. How I get her back is entirely up to you. I mean, does 6 Hour need a call here, or are we good? Like,
those medical places like that fucking get you, man, because like that paperwork that you sign when you first like, I mean, I don't know. I haven't been to a vet like this in
I didn't
kind of
sign
a while.
nothing.
I know when you go to like a hospital, like an ER, right? You basically sign paperwork that says that you legally cannot refuse treatment that they give you.
Yeah.
If you read that paperwork, it's saying that you can't just walk out of the hospital and not take the fucking amputation or something like that. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, which is bullshit, you know, but I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Which is why you see a lot of people that don't speak English freak the fuck out in emergency rooms. Is because they signed that not knowing what the hell, and not necessarily Spanish because they've got the contracts in Spanish, but you see people from like immigration from like African and Asian countries, and they freak the fuck out because they don't have anything to translate to their language. If they do, it's poorly translated, and they sign it, and they sit them down for something they didn't know they agreed to, and it's fucked up. But
I can totally get where you're coming from too with that, because like I think I told it on either the last one we did, the last podcast, or the one before it, about my cat Felix getting in those flowers, man.
Yeah.
Me and Anna were up at like 2:00 in the morning trying to force feed this cat activated charcoal and fucking peppermint tea to try to get the home remedy to see if we could get this cat to live. And I don't know if you've ever tried to force feed a cat before.
But I'll try to stick a cat in a bag. No thanks.
Yeah, it's god awful to try to force feed a cat, man. If they don't want some, they are not gonna.
You know what?
Basically, we put this black charcoal stuff in a thing of water with a squirt tube, and we were holding him, trying to keep him comfortable, and trying to force him to drink this charcoal stuff.
Yeah.
So we had to like really make a moral decision. Like, are we ready to spend a couple grand?
But it turned out okay, didn't it?
It did, yeah. And I've got that physical reminder on him that I see that shaved arm of his, because all they did was we brought him in. I called animal poison control.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, man, if your cat got into some lilies, he's almost good as dead.
Really?
And if you look online, everybody on there, whether it's the doctors or the people saying they went through it, they're like, dude, if your cat gets into some lilies, that cat is as good as dead.
I mean, it's just like WebMD, though. I have a headache. Yeah. I either need an aspirin or I have a brain tumor.
The only difference, I guess, with this is that we knew what the problem was. So we knew it was like lily poisoning. But when we brought him into the vet actually took a look at him and did like the tests and everything.
Yeah.
Said that, I think he's going to be okay. So that was really reassuring. I mean, we still had to do like with Megan, where we still had to spend $500 to get all the tests and IV and everything.
But that's my thing, is if you go to a vet, you're going to spend $500 on tests.
Yeah.
That's the fucking game. I get it. But so I filed the Better Business Bureau complaint against the urgent pet care. Number one, for the ridiculous acting like they're holding my dog for ransom thing.
Yeah, that's pretty messed up.
I even asked my girlfriend, I was like, I was super emotional. Did you get that vibe too? She's like, oh no, they were acting like there were two options. You can give us the $3,000 or we can kill your dog. Mm-hmm. Like that. It was, so I filed that. I filed that complaint for that reason. And number two, the pricing is fucking predatory. I understand that you're like an urgent care and it's an ER and there's convenience and more hours and walk-in. So I can understand charging double. In fact, if they would have said, hey, it's going to be $1,200-$1,300, I probably would have paid for the surgery right there in a heartbeat. But
2,000 is pretty, that's like almost 4 times the amount.
It's how many people hear that and either pay to have it done 5 times what they need to, as what they would do at their home vet, or B, think what I thought, which was, well, shit, no one else is going to have it that much cheaper. What if I go to my other vet, it's going to be a couple $100 left, and they just have the dog killed when they don't need to. So that's why I filed it. I'm like, this is predatory. I don't want any money. I don't want you guys to reach out to me. I don't want anything. I just want you to stop doing this, because you're going to victimize other people, and other people are going to go through the hardship of having to fucking kill their dog when they don't need to.
Yeah, imagine if you were somebody that came in that didn't have to worry about $2,000, man.
Right.
Like,
those are the people they bank on, though, is those stay-at-home West Omaha moms. Got their husband's credit card. He's not at work. Something's wrong with the dog. Oh, just run it. You know what I mean? That's who they fucking make their bank on. So, I mean, that's what I'm like, no, y'all ain't gonna bully me. Like, that's not how we do this. So
not like the quality there is any better than going to a different
it's probably worse, because my vet's quality is really good.
Mm-hmm. Like, the vets that we take our animals to like go get their shots, everything. Mm-hmm. It's kind of funny. It's one that's kind of in like one of the more ghetto parts of town. Yeah. But the prices are really good over there, and we've never had any issues with them.
No.
They've always been good experiences dealing with them. So
a vet's a vet. It's not like it's a mechanic where you're going, to the ghetto part of town, or a car dealership. It's like they all went to school to get this license. They have to go back and get their masters and shit like that. Like they had to go get their doctorates, and they have to maintain their records, and they get inspected. And
it's not like they're telling. Not like a mechanic too, where you're taking your pet in and they're like, you're taking them in for a tooth thing, and then they tell you that you gotta, you should probably replace the oil pump.
Yeah, exactly.
Dog, That's gonna go out probably next year. I'll save you some money doing now, rather than later.
Yeah, I had a fucking dude. I went to one of those quick lube oil change places because I had a coupon to get one for like $20, and they try to tell me, they're like, yeah, your back light bulb's out, not like either in my tail lights, like that small light that's in the middle that most people don't even realize they have. Mm-hmm. Like that, it's like between your two tail lights, and it's up like on top of it, like your trunk. And I was like, okay, like go ahead and replace it. I was like, how much is it gonna be? They're like $47. I'm like, go fuck yourself,
dude. They were gonna charge
$6.
They were gonna charge that much money to replace windshield wipers. On my old truck, I had like $50. It's funny. I took it into like the Chevy dealership that I actually bought my car in, This is the reason why I bought my car there, was because when I had my truck and I would take it there, uh, I went to like the price guy and they were like doing the state inspection. Like in Texas, you got to get a state inspection every year, which it costs like $18.
Right.
And then you just take that into the registration place and like the DMV, and then they just give you the they just are like, all right, cool, and they give you the sticker for the registration every year. Like that's just how it works. Actually, pretty easy.
I wonder if those like auto center companies lobbied for that because they can scare people into finding.
They might have.
I mean,
they might have, but I mean, to their credit, man, to Texas's credit, they did, like my car did, like they failed me one time based on that my emergency brake didn't work.
Oh.
And I was like, oh shit, man, I didn't know that. Like that could have been a really bad thing if I was out on the fucking mountain or something like that, or on a hill, and I didn't know my e-brake didn't work like that. So I guess to their credit, basically all they do is they hook up a computer scanner, and I wouldn't complain about it as much, or I would complain about it more if it was like fucking $50 due to the inspection, right? Because I mean, you do that in Nebraska. If you bring a car from outside the state and register in Nebraska, you got to go take it down to fucking the county sheriff or whatever, and they got to fucking inspect it. I'm like, the fuck's the sheriff gonna know to inspect the car? You know what I mean? They're not a fucking mechanic. Like,
right.
And they were gonna charge $80 to do it too.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, this is bullshit, man. I'm just gonna use my mother-in-law's address down in Texas, and it was literally cheaper for 4 years to drive my car back down to Texas, re-register it here, and drive it back up and pay for gas, and it was going to be to re-register it in Omaha.
Omaha, to fucking plate your car. I have to budget because I'm going to spend like $200-$300 a fucking year on stickers, dude.
Yeah, dude. That's how much it is to get gas to come down there and come back. And then it's less than $100 to get the inspection and re-register the car down here in Texas every year.
Crazy.
It's super easy, man.
I mean, like, because my mom just moved to Ralston, right? She's not even in a different county than me, but she's in the Ralston city, or she moved a couple of years ago, but she's in the Ralston city limits. $50 to register her car.
Fucking robbery, man. It's like, if Omaha, I would be okay with Omaha doing that kind of shit, I guess, if you actually saw something for it. You know what I mean? Like, Omaha doesn't have
roads that look like we're in Somalia.
Exactly. Yeah, they terrible. They take care of the roads like ass.
Yeah.
Omaha doesn't have any pro sports teams at all.
No.
It's like you could understand maybe living in like Detroit or some shit, or like maybe Kansas City if they were going to tax you like that, because it's like, you got like 4 pro teams to go and watch.
Right.
I would be okay with that. I think me and you kind of differ in opinion on that about public funds used for a pro sports team.
Yeah, but at least it'd be going to something.
Yeah, at least you can then just complain about it. Omaha, it's like, dude, where the fuck does that money go to?
Exactly. I'm like, because they're constantly holding meetings, right? They're like, how do we attract talent and keep our talent here? Because we're not doing either of those things.
Not at all.
We're not shrinking, but we're growing at a very, very slow rate compared to other cities like Tulsa and Boise. And
I hear they look at it, they
Topeka.
link it to Kansas City, because Kansas City is like demographically, area-wise, and everything. They compare it the most to Kansas City, and Kansas City does way fucking better than Omaha.
Oh, yeah. Have you been to Power and Lights in Kansas City?
No, I've only been to Kansas City a couple times, and pretty much every time I go is to go to Worlds of Fun. So.
Have you ever been to Capital District, downtown Omaha?
Yes.
Okay. Capital District is a sad attempt to recreate Power and Lights, and Omaha should be ashamed of themselves for it. But that's what we're always like, oh, how are we going to keep our talent and attract more talent with young people, right? Because we're getting our asses kicked, like you said, by the Kansas Cities, by the Tulsas, by the fucking Wichitas.
Omaha just gets fucking old people, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's seriously like 80% old people. I feel like is in that city.
Number one, how about you create an incentive for people to come here? Stop taxing them so much.
Yeah.
If my choice is between Omaha and Tulsa, 2 cities where there's, fairly similar demographics, job opportunities, population, I'm going to take the one that has the lower fucking tax rate. It's a no-brainer.
So look at it. I look at it like this too. I mean, like if somebody were to ask me, what is there to do in Omaha? I could maybe say the College World Series, but I mean, the zoo. But it's like, I guess barring the zoo, because Omaha Zoo is pretty fucking dope.
Right.
But, barring the zoo, like every other city has the same shit that Omaha has. You
They
know what I
do.
mean? It's
Yeah.
like bars, like concert venues,
It's
fucking, scenes of like comedy or music or whatever. Like every fucking city's got that, man.
that's
What are
what's
the
no, go
What's
ahead.
that? I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
say, what are the things that you look at in a city that makes it unique to like,
Right.
oh, I want to live in that
Pro
city because of
sports.
this. Pro
But that's it.
sports,
That's it,
well,
really.
no, like a city's history too.
Right. I mean, yeah.
Like if you're gonna go live on like a city over in the East Coast, like being like Boston or something, like
Yeah.
just the fact of being in Boston is fucking cool because it's like brick buildings everywhere. You got like the brick streets. It's like a super historical city, or like
Sure.
or that, or just the fact of like celebrities living there, right? Because like a lot of people like to go live in California because of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Omaha doesn't have any of that, man.
we don't, but we have. I mean, when you do, it's a good point because on the flip side, when you do compare it to like other cities, and people are like, "Oh, this city's so boring," I'm like, bro, what would you do on an average Saturday afternoon anywhere else? You're doing what you do here. You're going to the mall. You're going out to eat. You're going to the bar. California has beaches. I'm like, bro, we got like lakes. Like, yes, obviously the ocean is better than lakes, but like is it worth the extra $400,000 a year? Like, fuck,
I guess
dude.
I can tell you like one of the benefits over, because El Paso about the same size as Omaha. El Paso's got a lot of the same stuff to do, like bars, comedy clubs, nightclubs, all that kind of
Right.
stuff. Same thing as Omaha.
Right.
One thing this place has that Omaha doesn't is I can go to Mexico anytime I want.
And that's the
And
thing is like, if I were to move anywhere, it'd probably be Reno because there's I can go to LA in a day. Like that could be like,
it's
it'd
only
be a
like an
day
hour
trip.
away from
Vegas.
Las Vegas
Yep.
too, right?
The beach is a day away. It's not a fucking vacation. You can make a
Mhm.
weekend out of it. You don't have to pay California's stupid fucking taxes. You don't have to follow California's stupid fucking laws. Not that I have any interest in moving, but if I were to move, it would be to Reno.
You could go down to Vegas, go catch a Raiders game down
Yeah,
there,
you
or
can chill in
whoever their
Vegas.
away team is.
Yeah, I mean it's all, and you don't have to follow California's stupid laws. I
Yeah.
do feel for you guys in Texas because I feel like this California exodus, if history's taught us anything, they're going to make Texas like California.
I don't know, man, because they all just moved to Austin. And
Yeah,
Austin is one of like the 5 big cities in Texas. And, for the most part, Texas people are pretty fucking hell bent on keeping Texas the way that it is. Like,
yeah, it's we'll see.
for here is kind of weird, man, because like, I mean, you just go 10 minutes north of where I live and you're up in New Mexico.
Yeah, it's
and
true.
then you fly. It's like kind of like with Kansas. It's kind of like in Omaha and Council Bluffs. Omaha is fucking funny, man. To go back on the topic of the cars,
Yeah,
I've never been to a city and seen such a variety of state plates.
oh,
as
I
in
know,
Omaha.
right? Yeah,
Nobody ever gets their cars re-registered for Omaha because of how fucking terrible it is
yep,
to do so.
yep. It's crazy.
I would see Minnesota plates in my apartment that I lived in.
Oh
for
yeah,
like the first
dude. I've
year.
got
I'm like,
my apartment's got like Illinois and Tennessee plates here. Like,
yeah.
people, they'll
It
go out
wasn't-
of their way not to pay the taxes here.
It wasn't uncommon to see Texas plates driving around
Texas
there.
a lot actually.
Yeah,
Um,
Omaha loses revenue doing that, man. If they half the price, you
that
think
and casinos.
Mhm.
How fucking stupid. I mean, Nebraska's got this, and it's funny. It's like a boomer mentality, but the only ones that go over there are really boomers anymore. So
Mhm.
it's like we've got this mentality of, we've got, it's we want to keep our state pure. The only gambling you can do is the lottery and Keno and pickle cards and horse tracks. It just gets fucking stupid, right? But
Mhm.
we are losing so much money because I'll tell you what, bro. If you've ever been around addicts, you know that a 20-minute drive across the river is not going to prevent them from getting their fix.
Fuck no, it's not.
All that's happening, the cat's out of the bag. Council Bluffs has the casinos. Like, all we're doing is just fucking ourselves at this point.
I compare it to with the fireworks with Missouri, man.
Exactly,
Like,
and they finally legalized those.
That's kind of how it is down here in El Paso. El Paso city limits, right? fireworks are illegal. People still do them, but like it's not like a crazy
Nobody's gonna come
charge.
after you, right?
Yeah, it's like if the neighbors call the cops on you, they'll probably come and fine you like $100 or something.
Right.
But I mean, there's actually kind of a good reason that they do it though down here is because
You
like
guys
if
are
you're
dry.
lighting off, if it's dry as fuck down here, man. If you're lighting off fucking bottle rockets and stuff, you can pretty easily start a bushfire.
Right.
That
Yeah.
I remember being in the army and we go out to shooting ranges just out of the city and everything, and we're shooting tracers and stuff. Tracers would start pretty huge fires a lot actually.
Yeah. Oh, tracers are dangerous. You can't shoot them at the range because of that. Yeah.
Yeah, there will. I've seen like big fires, man, like football field sized fires start because of tracers. So
yeah,
it makes sense. Up in Omaha though, dude, there's like no time of the year where it's not wet.
right. Yeah. I mean, if it didn't rain this week, it did last week. You know what I mean? Like
So much so where like sometimes it's hard to like to start fires when you want to because everything's so wet. Like
right. No, exactly.
so it's like, hey man, Omaha, do you really have a reason to not let this stuff? You can just go down to Missouri to go get it. Like
Right. Yeah. No, exactly. So, all right, man. We should like an hour.
Yeah.
You got
I've got
anything
about
else?
50 minutes. No, we should. Like I said, folks, at the beginning of the episode, though, it's my fault that we're not consistent about it. So I do really appreciate your guys' patience with us while I'm raising a kid.
We figure this out. Yep. And I should.
Yeah.
My life is finally starting to slow down a little bit, so I should be able to. We should be able to pump these out a little bit more consistently. It's not as crazy over here anymore. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, it's good, man. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll try to get one out for next week.
We got deep this week. I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's good, man. It's
vulnerable.
Good. People know that we're actual people.
We're humans. Yeah, I'm not just this asshole you see on stage. Like, all right, guys. Peace the fuck out.
Deuces, everybody. See you, man.
Yep. See you later, bro.